This episode of Shouwa Genroku Rakugo Shinjuu was, again, incredible. It completely strengthens my theory about Yakumo being a woman trapped in a man's body kind of thing. And I love that. Because my crazy theories are normally just crazy. But this one seems to be working out for once. I mean, it may not work out in the long run, but still, it feels so much like it. Seriously, Yakumo says all these things, and he does all these things that make him seem like a woman as it is. And in this episode, it was just backed up so much. I mean, straight away, at the beginning of the episode, everyone's getting happy, everyone's, celebrating the fact that they'd just done a brilliant performance. Yakumo's just sitting there staring in the mirror, taking his makeup off. He looks at himself, and then his eyes kind of squint a bit. And, to be fair, you can read that a lot of ways, but the way I saw it was, he took the makeup off of his face, looked in the mirror, and suddenly realised he was back to being him instead of the character. And he was disappointed with it. I mean, later on, he even says, while he's doing his performance, and I'm going to get to that performance, because that performance was brilliant. But he says, while he's doing the performance, this is the time when he's doing his rakugo that people can see him, and that he can be himself. Which is another thing that he kind of builds on throughout the episode. He says that sukeroku continuously does his rakugo for other people. He wants to see other people's reactions. He wants to make other people happy. That kind of feeling. Whereas he does his rakugo for himself. And that's something he only discovered in this episode. And he only discovered thanks to Sukeroku making him go into that play. Oh man. It's so brilliant. He tried to back out of the play so many times. And he even noticed at this point, you remember the fact that Sukeroku once told him he should be doing erotic stuff with rakugo. That he didn't have a strong male bawdy voice. So he should do something more feminine. And he's like, oh, fuck. Sukeroku know this the whole time. He's so far ahead of me. That must be such an annoying but happy feeling. Because, I mean, he's happy. Because, yeah, he found his rakugo. But at the same time, oh, God, not that idiot Sukeroku. How could he know this before me? Oh, man, it was just so damn good. Now, one thing that I really, really like about this, and I keep saying, I did say, I have one complaint with this show. Everything else is 10 out of 10. The one complaint that I have is I wish, while they were telling Yakumo's story, I wish in the future, with, Yotaro and Miyokichi's daughter, whose name I keep forgetting because she hasn't been mentioned in so long, is that I really wish they would, make it so that Yakumo was telling this story in bits and pieces, and that we also had bits of the future happening at current time as well. Majorly because this story right now, where he's finding himself to be transgender, he's finding himself to realise he likes being a woman, and he wishes he could have been born a woman. I mean, they have that bit at the beginning of the episode, way back before he even joined the Rakugo school, when he was working with the geishas. And, oh man, I felt so bad for him. I mean, he was clearly enjoying it. He was dancing, he was learning to be a geisha, and we know how much he enjoyed it. Because, I mean, geisha even learned to play, I think it's called the shamisen, but that one that they also use in the Rakugo performances that he helped a girl play during one of the performances. Clearly, he liked learning that stuff. He got really into it. But at the same time, all the other girls were saying, oh, that's so cute, but that boy will never be a geisha anyway, and the teacher wasn't even teaching him. When he made a mistake and crashed into one of the other girls, it was the other girl that got punished for it. The teacher just wasn't even bothering with him. Because really, there was no point. He wasn't ever going to be a geisha. He was just playing around, even though he was part of the school. Which is just a horrible feeling to have. And then he hurt his leg and got shoved off into the Rakugo school. And he never wanted to do Rakugo. Oh, man. But, yeah, this was brilliant. And this is where I'm going to get into the performance. Because, god damn. There was a complete 180 between Yakumo's normal performances and his performance in this episode. For one thing, normally before a performance, he's sitting there, sweating, staring at Sukeroku, just kind of wishing that he was as good as Sukeroku. But I mean, at this point, he was thinking about his future. He was kind of in his own zone. There was that moment where everything went black and white. It looked so damn cool. And he was thinking about himself rather than Rakugo and the people. And then he goes out on stage, and it is just a completely different introduction. It's really subtle as well. Before, he always, was trying to sound confident, but didn't quite get it. It was still a bit nervous. Still sounded really similar. That's the thing, though. I have to give the maddest of props to the Seiyu. Because I know everybody loves this Seiyu. He's been in so many other things. But goddamn, in this one, when he does that new introduction, and it's just so calm, so skillful, just like he is in the future, where he's completely confident about himself and what he's going to do. And he starts delivering his performance, and I was a bit disappointed, because I thought he was going to be a lot more animated from the beginning. I was like, oh god, is he still holding back? And then when he got to the point of really expressing himself as a woman, everything changed. The crowds were mesmerized. They were literally like gasping at how good he was at playing a female character. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, most random point for it to happen. But I actually cried at this point. And it really shocked me. Because normally when I cry, it's like the ridiculously overly dramatic, ridiculous moments at the end of an anime where someone's dying or something ridiculously bad or ridiculously good has happened. That's the thing. It was so simple, but it felt so amazingly beautiful. The fact that Yakumo had finally found himself. And I'm going to get a little bit personal from this point on, because that's pretty much the end of my review. It's just, it was a 10 out of 10 episode. I loved it. I loved Yakumo and sukeroku's emotional moments. I love the fact that Yakumo has finally found himself. I love miyokichi. I really love how supportive she is of Yakumo and how she's trying to help. And it feels like Sukeroku may not quite understand what Yakumo's going through, but he's trying to help in his own way too. That point when Yakumo came out and started doing the female voice, he looked so goddamn happy at that point. He was like, yes, that's my boy. That's what you should be doing. He was so damn proud, so damn happy just to see his friend enjoying himself. And it was such a brilliant feeling. And I'm really going to be happy when Sukeroku and miyokichi get together. And goddamn, I do not know how I'm going to handle it when Sukeroku dies. Like, seriously, we all know that's coming. Nobody really talks about it, but we all know that that's literally a thing that's going to happen at the end of this arc. Oh man, it's going to be so bad. But that's the thing. I do love miyokichi. I do love Sukeroku. I love Yakumo. And now the fact that I understand Yakumo and I understand miyokichi, I'm going to be so happy when miyokichi and Sukeroku get together. They deserve each other. They're such amazing characters and they're so supportive to Yakumo. So, that's the end of this actual episode review. Now I'm getting into a little bit more personal stuff. So, you know, you can actually kind of stop here if you want to. But yeah, what I want to say is this anime has touched me on such a personal level since episode 1. Because I love miyokichi and I love her daughter and I love their stories. But 3 Rakugo performers, they have just inspired me so damn much since this anime started. I mean, like I said, episode 1, Yotaro, he throws away everything, even though he didn't have much in his life to begin with, but he puts his everything into trying to become a Rakugo performer. And that's a similar feeling to what I had when I started YouTube. I mean, I still haven't quit my job. I never want to quit my full-time job, but God, you do put a lot of time into this kind of thing. And then there's like Sukeroku, who does everything because he loves that feeling of making people happy. I mean, when he first started it, it was just, he enjoyed Rakugo. He wanted to do Rakugo because he enjoyed it. But as time went on, when he started seeing people's reactions, he fell in love with it. And he gave his whole life to it. He does nothing but Rakugo. Unlike Yakumo, who has to actually work and keep himself in housing. Which is, again, another thing that I feel. And then, God, there's Yakumo himself, who took so long to find his place. I mean, he said, when he started doing Rakugo, it wasn't that he enjoyed it. It was that he wanted to make a place for himself in the world. So he just wanted to do the bare minimum and get by because it was a job. Because it would keep him in housing. He didn't enjoy it. He didn't want to do it. But it was all he could really do. It was what he was thrust into. And I totally understand his feeling there. But I completely, even more, understand his feeling when he figured out he's doing this for himself. When he went out on stage and was just so confident. And again, a similar feeling to what I get from YouTube. I don't talk like this with people in real life unless they're like really close to me. I'm a very socially awkward person. And I'm sure a lot of other people that get into anime and video games and otaku culture, they do the same kind of thing. They have a very close group of friends, but with other people they may not be able to express themselves. I mean, hell, I went full hikikomori mode for like 9 months when I was about 17 to 18. And it was a terrible time. And anime and video games were what got me into that, and meeting people online was what kind of pulled me out of that. So, yeah, this anime is just amazing. It's inspiring me in all kinds of ways. God, it is just amazing. I wish more people were watching this. Oh, so yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I hope you didn't get too bothered by my personal rant at the end there. And I hope some of you other people are feeling just as inspired by this anime. Because, I mean, even if you're not into, like, a similar kind of thing, of, like, performance kind of stuff. I mean, I hardly consider myself a performer, but still. That passion thing, the passion that they have, the way that they're finding their passion, is just such a human feeling. Oh, so I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as me and feel just as inspired. And if you like this video, you can wreck that like button like you mean it. Subscribe if you haven't already to see more. And I will see you guys next time. Oh, and just a PS here. Big thank you to Sloan for that message she sent me. I wasn't even going to do any reviews today. If it weren't for the fact that Sloan the female otaku had sent me a message saying that she agreed with my theory at this point, and this episode backed it up a bit more. Like, I probably wouldn't have even watched this episode until tomorrow morning. I was saving it for tomorrow morning to cheer myself up. For today, I was just going to be all emo and reclusive. And go check out her video as well, because it's kind of funny. Because she has accepted my theory, and her video, her review, is just basically her going, wow, and going through it all in her mind and, like, clearly coming to accept the idea herself. So I love that. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time.